Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going on a scientific quest to answer a massive question in medicine. What happens when our body is so badly damaged it just can't heal itself? Well, the answer might actually lie in building tiny little houses for our cells.
Okay, so here's our game plan. First, we're going to look at why we even need this kind of tech. Then, we'll introduce the star of the show, the scaffold, and get into the really cool stuff. What it's made of, how it's built, and how we even know it works. And then, of course, we'll peek into the future.
So let's kick things off right at the beginning. What is the fundamental challenge that has scientists working so hard on this? Now, I know this sounds like it's straight out of science fiction, right? But it's actually the main goal of a field called tissue engineering. We're talking about injuries that are so big, so severe, that the body just gives up. So scientists are trying to figure out how to give it a nudge, a helping hand, to get back on track. For a long time, if you had a major bone injury, the go-to solution was a bone graft. But, that comes with some serious drawbacks. There's only so much bone you can take. It hurts where you take it from, and you're always running the risk of infection. And that's exactly why scientists are on this quest for something better. These engineered scaffolds that actually help the body heal itself.
And that brings us to the hero of our story, the scaffold. Really, the best way to wrap your head around this is to think of a scaffold as a custom-built temporary house just for your body's cells.
So a scaffold is basically this 3D framework that a surgeon places right at the injury site. It creates the perfect little neighborhood for the body's own repair cells to move in, get all the food and nutrients they need, multiply, and then get to work rebuilding whatever tissue was lost.
So what does this perfect house for cells need? Well, scientists have a literal checklist. First, it has to be biocompatible, which just means non-toxic so the cells feel welcome. It needs to be porous, like a sponge, with interconnected hallways so nutrients can get in and waste can get out. It's got to be strong enough to handle whatever load it's under. And, this part is absolutely brilliant, it has to be biodegradable. It just vanishes as new, healthy tissue takes its place.
Now, you can't build a house, not even a microscopic one, without the right building supplies. So, what's actually in the toolbox for making these amazing scaffolds?
Scientists have this huge collection of materials to choose from, but they mostly fall into four big families. You've got polymers, those are long-chain molecules. Then there are ceramics, which are a lot like the minerals in our own bones. For the really tough jobs, you have metals. And then there are composites, which are just clever mixes of all the others.
And this is where the engineering gets really interesting, because there's no single material that's perfect for everything. It's all a game of trade-offs. Take gelatin. It's fantastic for getting cells to stick to it, but it dissolves super fast. Then you have something like polycaprolactone, or PCL. It's way stronger and lasts a lot longer, but it's not as naturally inviting for the cells at first. And this is where that precision is just so critical. I mean, for scaffolds that have to bear weight, they've got to be as tough as our own bone. So natural spongy bone, what scientists call cancellous bone, can handle a certain range of pressure. And look at this. They've engineered a magnesium alloy scaffold that fits right in that sweet spot, while some of these advanced composites can be even stronger. So why not just combine materials to get the best of both worlds? Well, that is the whole powerful idea behind composites. By mixing different ingredients, say a strong polymer with a bioactive ceramic, researchers can cook up a final material that has that perfect blend of strength, cell-friendliness, and the right disappearing act. And this whole mix and match thing allows for some incredible fine-tuning. For example, check this out. Add a ceramic called monazite to natural gelatin, and boom, its strength almost triples. Or in this other case, scientists used an amino acid, L-lysine, as a kind of molecular superglue to bond a polymer with graphene. The result? A 15% jump in strength. It's just really smart chemistry. Okay, so having the right materials is one huge piece of the puzzle. But how do you actually build a microscopic, super intricate house that cells can live in? A pretty common method is to start with what they call a slurry. It's basically a special bioink made from the powdered materials. This ink can then be poured into a mold, or, and this is happening more and more, it can be 3D printed, one tiny layer at a time.
The last step is to heat it up in a furnace. That process is called sintering, and it fuses all those little particles together into the final, solid but still porous scaffold. And I'm telling you, the tiny details matter a lot. Even just the shape of the pores inside can completely change how well the scaffold performs. One study compared scaffolds made with cubic salt crystals as a template versus rounder, ellipsoidal ones. The result? Those rounder pores created a much more uniform network of tunnels, which is way better for getting nutrients where they need to go. The internal architecture, the lattice, is another one of those supercritical design choices. For parts that have to take a beating day after day, like in your spine, research compared two designs. There's this complex, curvy one called a gyroid, and a more angular, strut-based one called a diamond lattice. And what they find? That angular diamond design could handle about 20% more stress cycles before it gave out.
Okay, so the scaffold is designed, the materials are chosen, it's built, the house is officially ready. But how do we know if it's going to actually become a home for cells? Well, it's time for the ultimate stress test. First up, they test for strength. They literally just put it under pressure. So a standard PLA polymer scaffold has a certain strength. You add a tiny bit of graphene oxide, it gets a little tougher. But remember that molecular glue trick with L-lysine? When you use that, the strength shoots up by over 15%. This is the proof that their idea actually works. Next, they see how it dissolves in a liquid that mimics our body fluids. The whole point here is a controlled disappearance, right? You want the scaffold to fade away at about the same speed that new bone is forming, and for this specific scaffold, it's a nice, gradual process. After 12 weeks, most of it is gone, leaving plenty of room for new tissue to move in and take over. But, of course, the million-dollar question is, do the cells actually like it here? To figure that out, they measure something called cell viability, which is really just what percentage of cells are alive and well on the material. And what they find is so fascinating. Adding one ingredient, TiO2, actually hurt the cell's survival, but then combining it with another one, PG, brought the viability right back up. It just goes to show you how every single ingredient in the recipe really, really matters. So where does this whole quest go from here? Well, the future isn't just about building simple, passive houses for cells anymore. It's about building houses with superpowers. Yeah, this is where we leap beyond just a passive structure. The next generation of scaffolds are being designed as active, intelligent systems. I mean, think about scaffolds that can fight off bacteria all by themselves, or release pain medicine like ibuprofen right where it's needed over time. Some can even get stronger if you zap them with a little electricity. And maybe the most mind-blowing idea is dynamic remodeling, a scaffold that intentionally changes its own shape over time, dissolving certain parts to open up new highways for healing. How cool is that? From smart materials to these dynamic, responsive structures, this whole field is just shattering the boundaries of what we thought was possible. It's really promising a future where we can truly and reliably help the body heal itself. So, what other incredible functions will we build into the scaffolds of tomorrow? Thanks for joining us on The Explainer.